BMW is a company that's long lived by their notion as the ultimate driving machine. Well, today let's take a look at a vehicle that satisfies that and is in its most pure form. This is a 2012 BMW 128i. Now, the 1 Series has actually been in the United States since 2008. It only comes in two body styles, a coupe and a convertible. In Europe, there's a four-door hatchback available, but let's face it, here in the United States, hatchbacks don't exactly sell in the highest numbers, so BMW wisely only brought the vehicle as a coupe or convertible. This vehicle is the smallest and entry-level BMW. It's the cheapest way to get into one brand new. And in terms of size, this vehicle is about 8 inches shorter than a 3 Series. It also weighs about 200 pounds less, yet it comes with the 3 Series' standard inline sixes. Now, the 1 Series has gotten a couple updates throughout the years. This being a 2012 is actually the first year that the vehicle got a few updates in terms of the front styling, the rear styling, and some interior tweaks. Now, there was a 1 Series M available in 2011 only. BMW actually only brought about 1,000 of those, and that one is going to quickly become a collector's edition. But the 128 I have here is actually the base model. This particular one does have the premium package, the heated seats, and the heated steering wheel. The 135i comes with the twin turbo engine, and that one is basically the one that turns this into a sports car. Now, this vehicle is literally the spiritual successor to the original BMW 2002. It's classic rear-wheel drive architecture, front engine, near perfect 50-50 weight distribution, about a 3,100 pound curb weight. And in terms of its styling, a lot of people have said this car is somewhat polarizing in its design. I think it's a very good-looking car. I think that it shows the classic rear-wheel drive proportions that BMWs are really well known for. One thing that I probably don't like are those rather small 17-inch wheels. They actually look like 16s to me, but if you go for like a 135i, if you get the Sport package, the M Sport pack, the vehicle does come with 18-inch wheels. This particular one is missing one option that I would prefer to get. That's the bi-xenon, the active xenon headlights, part of a lighting package for like $1,000. I think all BMW should have that. I definitely think that it looks a little bit naked and plain without the HID headlights. Now, when you look at the interior of the 1 Series, you think that because it's the cheapest BMW, it may be also somewhat cost-cutting on the inside. Thankfully, I'm happy to say that's not really the case. However, those of you who are rather large may find this vehicle a little bit confining. Now, when you step in, the vehicle is somewhat on the low side because this is a low-slung, rear-wheel drive coupe. Smart access is available, but this one doesn't have it. So here's the key for the vehicle. You have to stick the key in the ignition slot right there. Of course, you'll have the traditional BMW dinger. Put your foot on the brake and push the button to start the engine. And then, of course, what you're hearing is BMW's corporate 3-liter straight 6. It's a fantastically smooth engine. Shutting the door, the window is automatic up and down for the driver and the front passenger. That's standard equipment. Kind of expected that on a vehicle like this. In terms of the dashboard design, this is classic BMW stuff here. It's a little bit older in terms of their tech, in terms of the design in here. This dashboard center stack layout kind of reminds me of the previous generation 3 Series, right down to the gauges, right down to the steering wheel. Thankfully, just because you have the smallest one doesn't mean that you also cheaped out. This dashboard is still a soft touch material. It's a very nice high quality graining. You have the wood grain accents here that matches really well with the black, and then of course the oyster colored leather seats. These are the real leather, by the way. They're not the fake leatherette. This one does have the dual zone automatic climate control. You kind of have the older BMW head unit in terms of your radio system. Don't expect to find like an LCD screen here. There is a navigation system available that adds BMW's 4th generation iDrive. It's not their newest system. The steering wheel is typical BMW. It's very heavy, but it's also it has a lot of feel to it, and it has a very nice fat bolstering extension, a very smooth leather. The door panels are soft touch as well. You have leather stitching where your elbows are going to rest, an aluminum door handle. This vehicle does come with BMW's 6-speed Steptronic automatic. There is a sport mode, there is a manual mode. There is no paddle shifters, however, so you only have the little slap shift gate, which BMW reverses, which a lot of people say, or a lot of enthusiasts say, this is the correct orientation for manual shifting. An iPod port is standard on this vehicle. It's actually down here, and a USB. There's a nice padded armrest here with a little bit of storage, actually a puny amount of storage, and then another interesting little compartment here. I guess BMW thinks you can put your iPod in here, maybe. If you look at the glove compartment, It is damped and it's a rather small size. It's lined with the fuzzy stuff. Overall, the interior of this vehicle is on the cramped side, but you're not really going to feel it that much, and you typically buy this car for its sports car nature, for its fun to drive nature. We'll get on more on that when we get on the road. Now, the back seat of the 1 Series is its most cramped area in the interior. I kind of expected that with a wheelbase that's only about 104 inches long. When you get back here, the seat does power fold or power slide, and when you kind of bring the seat back to where I had it to drive, the legroom is on the cramped side. Surprisingly, there is a good amount of foot space, so somebody like me who's 5'7", it's okay back here. There's no armrest, of course. There is a little bit of storage here. Surprised to say there's no cup holders, but BMW did put soft touch materials on the door panel and leather stitching where your elbows are going to rest. Overall, the back seat will be tight, but for somebody like me who's shorter, it's not bad. Trunk capacity is surprisingly roomy as well. BMW says the coupe will get about 13 cubic feet of space. There is a 60-40 split fold-down seat. You typically don't find that in luxury cars like this. If you go with the convertible, you're going to cut that room in about half to about 6.5 cubic feet. Of course, the top has to go somewhere, but overall, the trunk space is quite practical for this vehicle. Under the hood, you're going to find BMW's corporate 3-liter straight-six naturally aspirated engine. This engine's actually being phased out for the 2-liter turbo 4 that's in the newer 3 Series and 5 Series and so on. In this configuration, it makes 230 horsepower and 200 pound-feet of torque. It mates to either a 6-speed manual or a 6-speed automatic. With the automatic, this one's rated at 1828. With rear-wheel drive, let's take a look at how this vehicle goes around doing its business. So for those of you who have never driven a 1 Series yet, the first thing that you'll notice when you get behind the wheel of one is just how incredibly balanced and fun this car is. It feels literally like a smaller 3 Series, which is an excellent thing. The 3 Series is already a fun car to drive in its own way. Now that 3-liter straight 6 is a gem. It's incredibly smooth, it's incredibly racy. It moves this car's 3,100 pounds with authority. And you know, I've driven this car in the 5 Series, the 3 Series, and the X3, and I've always thought it was lethargic in all of them except the 3 Series. It was okay in the 3 Series, but in this thing, this car is fun. 0 to 60 times are about 6.5 seconds with the automatic. Shave about a half second if you guys go with the 6-speed manual, which is what I would do. Now, the 1 Series itself is a very small, well-balanced car, and even though it's been in the United States since 2008, this car still feels all BMW. It feels classic BMW. A perfect 50-50 weight distribution, just a solid chassis, a very nice and compliant ride. This car has the most excellent compromise between handling and ride comfort. In terms of quietness, it's surprisingly quiet as well. You know, just because you buy the smallest and cheapest BMW doesn't mean you have to cheap out, and this car feels every bit as expensive as the other cars. Does it have the elaborate tech that all the other bigger BMWs have? No, but I like that because this car represents BMW's finest in its purest and most smallest form. Now, taking corners in this car is just a pleasure. It's just incredibly balanced and tossable. The 6-speed automatic has really crisp and refined shifts, and in sport mode, the transmission practically acts like it's reading your mind. It's not overly sharp, but it's sharp enough to let you know that the car's transmission is doing its best to make this car even more fun to drive. Now, in terms of visibility, this is a small car, so you have excellent forward vision, you have good side view, you have a really nice view off the back as well. I don't really miss the fact that this car doesn't have any parking sensors or any backup cameras or anything like that. Don't even expect to find like their blind spot information in this vehicle. The seats are also incredibly comfortable, and it's just a joy. I wouldn't hesitate to take this car on a curvy mountain road and then have to drive it long distances to get to wherever I need to go. Now, in terms of the competition for the 1 Series, I had trouble finding competition, at least direct competition that's apples to apples as this car. The G37 is much too big. That competes with the 3 Series. The Audi TT is somewhat of a competitor, but it doesn't have back seats. The Volkswagen EOS, that's front-wheel drive. Same with the Volvo C70. This car really is in a league of its own. It's definitely a niche car, and it'll appeal to the driving enthusiasts for its pure and its just tossable nature. Again, when you're going around corners, that rear drive chassis is just incredibly balanced. The rear end will just step out if you push the accelerator really hard, but the car just feels very controlled. The steering is nice and heavy, it has really good feedback, and this is what driving a BMW is all about. Incredibly responsive transmission, I must say again. So that brings me to the conclusion of this video. The 1 Series is still on sale today. In fact, you can buy a 2013 model, and it practically is just like this. BMW did introduce a 125IS for 2013. That replaces the defunct 1 Series M, which, by the way, for those of you who are wondering why it's not called the M1, it's because BMW had a sports car called the M1 back in the 70s, and they didn't want us mistaking the two together. Anyways, should you buy one today? I mean, with a platform this old, not really any competitors to go with, I definitely say BMW's 1 Series still deserves to be on your list if you're looking for a vehicle like this, if you're looking for a fun sports car that has a back seat or a convertible. Now, the 1 Series is planning to be redesigned next year. In fact, the compact luxury premium class is growing. Buick started it with the Verano, then Acura with their ILX, Mercedes is coming out with their CLA, and then of course Audi is coming out with their new A3. There's rumors floating around that, actually I don't even think it's rumors, it's confirmed that BMW's 1 Series, the next generation, will switch to a 4-door sedan platform, and I believe the hatchback is coming, and I believe it's switching to a front-wheel drive configuration. So for those of you who want your classic rear-wheel drive BMW, get one of these while they're still available because it's going away. Well, all that said, are there any negatives to this generation? A few. The interior is pretty cramped. The car feels very small, which is not really good for some people, and the tech in here is very dated. But other than that, I really have trouble finding fault. BMW is bringing back the 1 Series Coupe as a 2 Series because, they've switched over to their new nomenclature where coupes are odd or even numbers and sedans are odd numbers. Anyways, guys, I hope you've enjoyed my overview of this 2012 BMW 128i. If you're in the market for something like this, make sure you check one out at your BMW dealership. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you all later.